Hi everyone, this is Dr. Jane with Avalon Rises, and I just wanted to do a quick check-in, a planet among the stars update for you guys. Because even though we are kind of in between moons and the sun is still where it's been and pretty much everything is still happening as it has been, I did want to give you guys the update of a kind of important planetary interaction that is happening this week, specifically between Mars, Neptune, and Mercury. And so the big energy that's going to be coming through this week is going to be related to Mars and Neptune squaring one another. So Mars is in Gemini right now, and Neptune is in Pisces right now, and they are coming in. A square is a kind of a confrontational energetic dynamic between these two planets. And these two planets are kind of rough planets to have come into a square with one another because they hold very, very different energies. Neptune is the planet of intuition, of dreams, of illusion and disillusion. And Mars is the planet of action and forward movement in our lives. It can be an aggressive energy at times, and it is very direct. So they're very, very different planets governing very different aspects of our lives. And so to have those two planets come into a conflicting energetic dynamic with one another is a challenge. This is the third time this has happened in the last 5 months because of the way that these planets have been in and out of retrograde. This is the third Mars-Neptune square. And so what we're going to be seeing here is that each iteration of this square is going to be bringing up a kind of theme, a cycle. And every time this square comes up, it's going to move that cycle on a little bit in your life. And this is going to be the resolution interaction of that cycle. But that can be a real challenge. Then to add to this, Mercury is jumping into the fray. So Mercury's also in Pisces. So already this is a challenging energy for Mercury. Mercury is very clear-headed as a planet energetically, and Pisces is the sign of the dreamer. It's actually ruled by Neptune, right? So Neptune is currently in its exalted position in Pisces, really amplifying that very dreamy aspect to things. But what does this mean when we have Mercury coming conjunct with Neptune while it's square with Mars in Pisces versus Gemini? Challenges in relationships is a big one. Gemini is an inherently relational sign, right? We've talked about that before. And Mars in Gemini has been really working on relationship dynamics in general, but also our relationship with ourselves, because Gemini is both the inner and the outer, the twin, right? And so what illusions are we holding around ourselves? What illusions are we holding around other people? And there's going to be a lot of confusion because Mercury, which normally provides clarity, is bogged down. And Mars is getting its energy dampened by its square with Neptune. So forward motion and clear communication are going to be a big struggle this week. This is not the week to try to make serious decisions. There's going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of indecision. It's going to be very difficult to achieve clarity in this. So really 0 out of 10 do not recommend trying to make serious or important forward moving decisions in your life this week. Just pause. So how can this dynamic serve us? Right? Okay, so I've told you what not to do. Right? But so let's check in and see how can this dynamic actually serve us. So even though it may not seem this way at first, having this energetic dynamic can be really advantageous if we know how to use it. First off, It's going to ask us to slow down and to really come to stillness before we take any further movement. And this is going to allow us to tune in to what our confusion is centering around. Okay? And what are these things that are getting called up? And so, because this is all going to fit in with the ongoing theme that just kind of got launched with the last full moon, where we were really looking at our dreams, right? And I don't mean our dreams when we're asleep at night. I mean our deepest desires. And this is really going to be with, as I mentioned, with Saturn moving into Pisces, this is going to be the huge overarching astrological theme for the next couple of years. The stars are all going to be aligning repeatedly to get us to actually make our dreams come true in our lives. But before we can do that, we have to know what they are, right? And so that's where that last full moon cycle really came in, asking us to feel with our heart our deepest desires. And so this is actually also, this Neptune-Mars square is actually also calling this up, but in a slightly different way. Because what we're going to be starting to see is this tension. Confusion is tension, right? And it's showing us what is the tension between what we want deeply and what we're afraid of. Because when we have conflicting desires, one of those desires is our true desire, and one of those desires is our fear. And so if we can sit in this confusion and recognize that this confusion is the product of a true desire and a fear, then we can start to tease those two things apart. And that is going to give us power for when at the end of this week, this conjunction is, or this square is going to pass, this planetary alignment is going to pass, things are going to clear up, and what's right around the corner? The first of 2 Aries new moons. And Aries is the sign of new beginnings. This Aries new moon is occurring simultaneously with the spring equinox, which is the solar point of new beginnings in the year. And we are going to have not just 1, but 2 Aries new moons this year. And the second Aries new moon is going to be accompanied by an eclipse. Whoa. So we are being really set up to sow the seeds for an entirely new chapter of our lives. And this is the chapter where we actually have the ability to create the life of our dreams. But we have to know what those dreams are in order to create them. And so leading up, this is like, this Mars-Neptune square is like the homework leading up to prep you for this next month, this new moon, the spring equinox, and then the new moon solar eclipse, so that you can make the most of those opportunities to start new beginnings in your life. Plant the seeds, right? Because that's what we do at new moons and at the spring equinox. We plant the seeds. So what seeds are you going to plant? So if this week is feeling really hazy, stressful, like nothing is going right, and you're feeling a lot of that confusion and that tension, take a pause. Because as I said, this is not the week to make action, to take big action. Definitely not the week to take big action. But it is the week to sit in that confusion and recognize this is showing me part of my fear and part of my dream, and which piece is which. And when you receive that clarity and that discernment around those two things, then you can know at this next new moon, what do you need to release and what do you need to cultivate? So I hope this helped. And as always, any questions, concerns, reach out. We've got lots of ways to help you achieve your dreams at Avalon Rises. And I look forward to hearing from you guys.